Nightmare video, man. Oh, I was supposed to drop the other video I did Wednesday night when I dropped the Mr. Ballin video. I was supposed to drop that yesterday, Thursday. I just seen it. And it was like three true scary horror stories while watching Mr. Nightmare. So I had to go and react to that. I've been waiting on him to do a video like this so goddamn long. Cause I know people be having horror stories while they watching Mr. Nightmare and all that type of shit. But anyway, oh yeah, I'm gonna put y'all on a new show too. Y'all go on Peacock and look up Poker Face. Don't say I ain't never put y'all motherfuckers on, man. But yeah, man, we got Mr. Nightmare.
This is an interesting topic that a lot of you have been requesting for a long time, and I've gotten a lot of stories sent to me that happen to people while listening to my videos. Also, you can listen to all of these stories, plus a few exclusive ones on Spotify, Apple Music, and Amazon Music by clicking the link in the description.
I ain't gonna lie. I used to take naps listening to Mr. Nightmare. I ain't gonna even lie to you. I ain't gonna even hold you. I did like a couple months ago.
When I was 15 years old, I would sometimes sleep over at my friend JT's house. He had this cool loft bedroom that was its own floor and was attached to the attic through another half flight of stairs. When we were even younger, we used to have big hide-and-seek games in his house with our other friends and his brother. JT grew up in this big house with just his mom and his brother. His dad has always been rich, and after his parents divorced, he still paid for the house for the three of them to live in. His mom was the kind of 40-something-year-old woman to go into town every night dressed in overly tight white pants and such. When I was 14, 15, I didn't really realize what she was going out and doing all the time, but it meant he usually had the house to himself weekend nights. This was one of those nights. We smoked a bit of weed and played hours worth of Super Smash Bros.
Smoking is bad.
Out later, we decided to watch some Mr. Nightmare videos, ironically. We were on our third video, Pizza Delivery Horror Stories.
I ain't gonna lie.
This funny...
I ain't gonna lie. I gotta react to that too. That just made me realize I gotta react to that one.
Stuff made us want to order a pizza, so we called one of the only pizza places around us open past 10 and ordered a pie. As we finished the current video we were on, we started watching a Craigslist horror story video. And just as we were genuinely getting spooked by one of the stories, there was a crash sound from up in the attic. The sound of a box falling over and its contents spilling out. It sounded like plastic toys. JT and I looked at each other and freaked out. We went to pause the video, and JT screamed his older brother's name, who wasn't supposed to be home. It was our first instinct to assume that it was his brother trying to scare us, but that would mean he had been hiding in the attic for hours, which seemed unlikely. Given we were already watching scary videos, this only made the situation even more unsettling. JT went up the 5 carpeted stairs towards the little attic door and opened it. He flipped on the attic light and went inside as I stood behind watching. He immediately said he saw what it was. It was a box full of Hot Wheels cars that fell and spilled out a bunch of the cars. He left it as it was and said he'd clean it tomorrow. He left the attic and shut the closet door. And right around that time, the doorbell rang, causing us both to jump again. I guess we were both just really tense given the vibe of everything in the past half hour. We went downstairs to pay for the pizza and grab plates to eat and stuff. We started eating in the kitchen and planned to bring the rest of the pizza back up to his room. While we were downstairs though, we actually heard a sound from upstairs, like in the attic. The kitchen was below JT's room. The living room was below the attic, so the living room had a higher ceiling. We walked into the living room to listen, and sure enough, we heard a faint bump that was just loud enough to hear. We again looked at each other with wide eyes. JT said there might be an animal in the attic because he'd seen YouTube videos where raccoons somehow crawl through a hole in the roof. He somehow convinced me to go check it out. I'm not sure why we were making a joke of this. I think...
Bitch told me to go, bitch, this your house. You check it out, bitch. I mean, fuck. My bad, YouTube, but you check it out.
Because neither of us wanted to admit how freaked out we were. We went back to his room together. He gave me this huge flashlight. I opened the attic door, and he was right behind me at the doorway. I turned on this huge flashlight that doubled as a radio and stepped inside. I looked at the spilled over pile of Hot Wheels. Then I looked around this city of piles of boxes. Why am I doing this? I said back to JT, and he laughed and said just keep looking. I stepped a little deeper into the attic to look behind this tall pile of boxes, and suddenly I felt 2 hands on my back push me. I stumbled forward and almost fell, and I heard the laugh of JT behind me. I told him he was a dick. But then, I guess in response to my sudden and loud stumble forward, something moved from beyond this other pile of boxes. I stepped up maybe 2 more feet and peered behind the boxes with the flashlight, and I was petrified. There was a guy hunched over behind the pile of boxes, and he looked right back at me. I ran back out of the attic while pushing JT out.
Man, I would have pushed the fuck out of JT ass. I ain't gonna even hold y'all. I took the fuck off. Hauled ass. Y'all know how Scooby-Doo and Shaggy used to... That what I...
Screaming, go, run.
JT, you
I
that
shut
call
the
the
door
police on
behind us
yourself,
and
my
screamed
boy.
that there's someone in
For
there.
yourself.
He followed me outside to the neighbor's house, who apparently wasn't home. We waited on the neighbor's stoop as we called 911. Then we called JT's mom, who seemed kind of drunk, and rushed home from her date or whatever she was doing. The police searched the house to make sure it was clear. The back door was left wide open, indicating the man escaped through there and likely climbed one of the fences to a neighboring yard. My mom called the insurance company and everything too the next day, but shockingly, it seemed like nothing was stolen. Nothing important, at least. The man, from what I briefly saw, looked like a young guy, maybe in his early 30s. He had short black hair and facial hair. I was just glad this wasn't my house, because I wouldn't be comfortable sleeping there for a long time. I know JT was scared to sleep in his room for a long time. 30s. He had short black hair and facial hair. Nothing important, at least. The man, from what I briefly saw, looked like a young guy, maybe in his early 30s. He had short black hair and facial hair. I was just glad this wasn't my house, because I wouldn't be comfortable sleeping there for a long time. I know JT was scared to sleep in his room for a long time after that.
It wasn't me. It wasn't me, y'all. It wasn't me. That's hot. It wasn't me, y'all.
Cancel cost ya. Delivery won't.
Yeah, man. I don't even want them to block my motherfucker ass. I'm getting all my money. The more ass I get, the more ass y'all get.
I was on a road trip to Las Vegas one night to meet my friends for a music festival. I was on Interstate 15, which is mostly just desert the whole way to Vegas.
Oh, hell no.
I chose to do the drive at night to avoid traffic. I left my house around 8 p.m. and my GPS said I'd get to my friend's Airbnb around midnight.
Y'all got me falling.
On long drives, I usually listen to podcasts and such because I start getting tired of music after a few hours.
Yeah, that's true that too though, cause I ain't gonna lie. I used to watch Mr. Nightmare a couple years, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Still, you know what I'm saying? I watched him back then, you know what I'm saying? I used to, you know what I'm saying, if I got tired of music, sometimes you don't be want to listen to music all the time. I used to listen to Mr. Nightmare, you know, a podcast, or Blue Spooky. Ooh, that's who I forgot, Blue Spooky. I ain't never, have I reacted to him? I gotta start reacting to bro. No, just talk about it. I used to listen to him too though. I don't know if he's still making videos. Cause I used to like Llama Arts animated. He used to make animated scary shit. Like he used to be scary stories like these, but he used to be like animated. I wonder if they still make videos. I'm gonna look it up after their video, and if not, that who we finna start reacting to too.
I started listening to Mr. Nightmare stories to pass the time, as they made the time seem to go quicker. Given that I was having a road trip, I listened to the road trip themed stories. About 3 hours into the drive, I had to stop for gas, so I added a detour to the route on my GPS, and it showed me where to get off for the closest gas station. It was a few miles away. I got off the next exit ramp into some sketchy-looking area. There were a few houses, then just desert. It was such an odd place for a few houses to be. I pulled up to this generic gas station, the only light source to be seen for pretty much miles. There were only 4 pumps total at this little station. I pulled up next to the one closest to the door to the inside. I went inside to pay the worker for the gas and buy a couple snacks.
He went out.
Not to use a derogatory term, but the guy working there seemed like kind of a hick. He had an unkempt, stained-looking beard, some dirty red trucker hat on, and the way he spoke was kind of creepy. But out here in the middle of nowhere, I didn't know what else I really...
Talking about, damn, what that word called? Damn, what that word called when you try to judge somebody and y'all know what the fuck I'm trying to say. Damn. It's the word that you try to say, like, they say profiling. God damn.
He tried making conversation with me, asking where I was from.
Oh my, bro.
That struck me
y'all
as him
chill out,
realizing
bro.
I'm
For
not
real,
from
bro.
around here.
Y'all be doing too much.
I told him I was from Cali. I asked him if he gets a lot of customers here. Kind of a weird question on my part looking back, but
Racial
whatever.
profiling, eh?
He said not really, not my kind at least, and he gave me a gross smile. I had no idea what that meant, but it sounded off-putting and like a creepy flirt.
Uncle
The man
Rock.
looked out the window toward my car and said, "Is that your friend?" I looked outside and got a glimpse of someone walking quickly into the darkness. It looked like they were just by my car. I said, "No, I
Hey,
don't."
I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna lie. This nigga got the same story exact like this on the one that I think the same one he was looking at on the way to the gas station. I think that's his story, or Mr. Blue Spooky, but it was a story where a girl went and got some gas, and when she got the gas, the dude was trying to tell her that her car declined and shit. And when she was like, my car ain't declined, I don't know what the fuck I heard that story from, but I think it was Mr. Nightmare or Blue Spooky. But it went on. When her car declined, he had told her when she got in the store somebody was in her car, and he locked the door. I remember that story.
Know them, and asked the cashier what that guy just did. He shrugged his shoulders and said he didn't see. Being admittedly an attractive girl in her 20s, I deal with creepy stuff all the time, so I almost wanted to ask the cashier if he could accompany me outside to make me feel better.
Man, I would put that bitch on.
Honestly, I was creeped out by the
both of
cashier
them.
as well.
I ain't gonna
I went
rob the store,
outside to
but
the
I would
pump to
put that
start
bitch
filling
on
up the
you.
tank of my car.
Y'all ain't finna play me.
I looked around the empty gas station lot. There was just a humming from one of the lights of the canopy above me and the sound of the cold night breeze. There were no cars or lights as far as the eye could see. Where did that guy go? And what was he doing? I looked at the window of the gas station shop and saw the cashier standing there looking directly at me. I wondered if he was doing it to make sure I was okay after that sketchy person ran off into the darkness. But that thought was negated when he started waving at me slowly. It was disgustingly creepy, and I wanted to get out of there. I paid for $40 worth of gas. When I was around the 30 mark, I heard something from the small building, like a voice. I looked over to the window, expecting it to be the cashier who made the noise, but he was still inside, just standing at the window looking at me. Then I noticed where the sound came from. There was a man peering his head around the right side wall of the small gas station store. He was waving his hands at me, motioning for me to come over, and I'm pretty sure I saw a creepy smile on his face too. I started waving and calling for the cashier in the store. He didn't move though. He just stood there, motionless, looking at me as I called for him and waved my arms. I looked back at the creepy guy who was peering his head.
That's a female. I don't know if they said a female, but that's why y'all females should walk around this bitch with guns. Stop thinking everything okay. It's 2023. Motherfuckers kidnapping and human trafficking females and all that shit. And males too. Y'all better walk around with guns, man. Y'all tripping. And on top of that, why the fuck is you getting gas this late? And one, if you drive off, well, now you a female. That's different. See, me, motherfucker, I put $40 in. I'm putting the whole 40 in. Not $39.99, not $39.98, not $39.96. I'm putting the whole 40 in. So whatever they gonna do, they gonna have to do it, bitch. Cause I'm putting all my money in, bitch, in that gas tank. Gas
For
too
the
fucking
cashier
high
in the store.
to be
He didn't
driving
move
off.
though. He just stood
I'd rather
there,
get kidnapped.
motionless, looking at me as I called for him and waved my arms. I looked back at the creepy guy who was peering his head around the corner, and he was still there. But now he wasn't hiding behind the wall anymore. He was standing fully exposed until he noticed me notice him, then started walking towards me. I removed the nozzle from my gas tank and left it dangling. I called at the cashier for help one more time. He still just stood there, motionless, looking at me. I felt my heart in my throat.
These
This was
bullets
a
would have been
textbook scene
motionless
directly
too.
from the Mr. Nightmare story. I got in my car and sped out of there, back on the basically deserted road, and eventually back onto the interstate. My heart was racing after that for a few minutes. Needless to say, I stopped listening to Mr. Nightmare for the rest of that road trip. I got safely to the Airbnb about an hour after that ordeal. I still have no idea what to make of it.
I ain't gonna count. Cause when I listen to Mr. Nightmare, he used to have like different types of different restaurants, food, Domino, all that type of shit. But when he did, you know what I'm saying, delivery store, I'd be like, man, I'd never be a delivery boy. Fast forward a couple years later, my ass working at Domino delivering. And I ain't never had no scary moment because I always kept my shit on me. But hey, everybody have a scary moment, but I never had one. Never. I'm gonna put them bitches on you.
I rent a house in Gulfport, Mississippi. It's a small house, but perfect for one person. I live alone with my dog Gringo. The backyard is big for him to run around in, and the area is pretty nice, right by the beach too. This happened on a summer night, I think a Thursday. I had just finished preparing my lunch for tomorrow and finished cleaning up the kitchen. Before going to sleep, I laid in my bed and ironically was actually watching Mr. Nightmare videos. I always like to think these videos would help me know what to do in a worst case scenario situation like a home invasion.
You coming to the wrong person for that. I ain't gonna lie to you. Mr. Nightmare, I love you. But he just tell the story. He don't give you, you know what I'm saying, skills to do. You know what I'm saying? You might want to go look on the protective tips, you know what I'm saying? Some shit like that. Cause Mr. Nightmare and it. Cause the people the stuff these people be doing on these stories is retarded. If you ask me. So don't come on me. If you gonna come on the YouTube channel, come on my channel. I'm gonna let you know what to do with a bitch. Y'all better pop a motherfucker, then call the police. Don't call the police and then wait on them to call. And then the person been killed you already. I took it.
Or anything of the sorts.
I'm just saying.
I'm sure a lot of people feel that
me.
way.
I don't know about
honestly, none of us ever expect
don't let them
something like
kill
that to
y'all.
happen to us.
I'm just saying.
Sure, it happens to other people, but never you, right? Well, it must have been like 11:30 at night. I was literally watching a video when the doorbell rang and Gringo started barking. Hearing the doorbell any time past 10 o'clock honestly is bone-chilling. It raises immediate red flags and questions. Like who is it and what could they want at this hour? I didn't leave my bed. I was not going to leave my bedroom to check who it could be. I was downright horrified just from the sound of the doorbell. Gringo is a pretty big dog and you can hear it in his bark. So I hope the sound of his barks would deter anyone with bad intentions. But the doorbell rang again, and the dread of wondering who was out there and why were they at my doorstep became even worse. The doorbell was followed by loud knocking. I still didn't leave my bed. I wasn't going to go out there. When it finally seemed to stop, I felt a little relieved. Since the house is only one floor, my bedroom was ground level. My window kind of looks out to the street in front of the house. So I looked out the window just to see if anyone would be walking down the street. I stood there watching for maybe 30 seconds before I heard footsteps outside near the window. I hurried back into the bed to hide. Gringo was growling and looking out the window. I told him to be quiet. Suddenly, a voice broke the silence and said, "I see you. Open the window." The voice was right outside the window.
I would have been the last thing he seen. I swear to God, I put that on my mama. You bitch, you tell me I see you right now. My window open right here, I can see. A bitch tell me and they stick their head up in my window and tell me, I can see you. I'm gonna be the last thing you see. I promise you. I ain't just talking, y'all probably be thinking I be just talking too, bro. Like the people who watch my videos for real, like, you know what I'm saying, in GL, y'all know me in real life. You feel me? Y'all know I'm gonna let that bitch blow. But I ain't gonna fuck with you if you fuck with me though. Only if you fuck with me, I'ma fuck with you. But when I fuck with you, I ain't gonna stop fucking with you. And these bullets ain't either.
Gringo started to bark again. I still did not look. The guy outside my window said, "Hey doggy." Gringo was going crazy. I couldn't realistically keep pretending to be asleep. I turned over to look at the window. I was looking at a creepy man with his eyes open super wide, looking back at me, with the only thing separating us being the bug screen of the window. I asked, "What do you want?" And he repeated himself and said, "Can you let me in? It's cold out here." But it was literally a midsummer night in Mississippi. I said leave before I called the police. This was when he tried lifting the screen himself. And when he realized he couldn't, he started punching at it to break a hole in it.
Alright.
I quickly slid the window shut and locked it.
What Glock now
I was
say?
shocked Gringo's loud barks weren't scaring this guy off. I asked the 911 operator to please send police to my house. And of course, like in so many stories I've heard before, the police showed up too late because the man was gone. He was probably on some kind of drugs. I have no idea what kind, but I could just hear it in his voice.
This video just came out an hour or two ago. I've never seen this video a day in my life. What I just said earlier. The police gonna wait to come and the people That's why they be gonna be did what the fuck they needed to do by the time the police come, slow ass come. Y'all might well gonna put a cap on them motherfuckers now and go on let it be over with. And then when the police come, they say who woo 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 try to break in woo 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 and pop these ass. Y'all be playing with your life. Y'all better start doing that shit, bro.
Gringo's loud barks weren't scaring this guy off. I asked the 911 operator to please send police to my house. And of course, like in so many stories I've heard before, the police showed up too late because the man was gone. He was probably on some kind of drugs. I have no idea what kind, but I could just hear it in his voice. And that comment that it was cold outside was also a dead giveaway. I don't think there was really any other appropriate way to handle this other than locking the window right away and calling 911.
But yeah, all if you doing knocking on the window, he ain't busting a hole. Then yeah. But if he would have broke in, that would have been a whole different motherfucking topic. You feel me? But yeah, if you want to call him Mr. Baller, Mr. Nightmare video and try to get you a lesson and try to, you know what I'm saying, self-defense, the people from the stories that he be reading from, some of them be good, don't get me wrong. Some of them be good and some of them be having a good ending. Some of them. But some of them be stupid in the motherfucker too. Just like that last one. Well, not the last one. But the first one was dumb. Why the fuck would you tell me to go up there to your attic, bitch? Even though you here playing, I ain't playing like that. I don't even play like that. Nigga better play in their ass. Hell no. But anyway, man, get a video a thumbs up, like, subscribe. See how motherfuckers on that video. I might post another video. If I find me another video after I get done with this one, I post. It probably gonna be a music video. I ain't gonna hold y'all. Let's ride, nigga.